Throughout history, artists have created works to capture beauty, express emotions, and bring aesthetic contributions to society. But rarely has an artist's talent been used to both save lives and heal souls. Anna Coleman Ladd is exactly that kind of exceptional figure. During the horrific years of World War I, this extraordinary woman used her sculpting skills to fight against one of war's most cruel consequences, reshaping not just faces, but entire lives. Anna Coleman Ladd was born in 1878 in Philadelphia, America's historic city. From childhood, Anna's artistic talents caught everyone's attention, and at a young age, she started developing herself in the field of sculpture. In America during that era, especially for upper-class women, artistic activities were seen as both a sign of social status and part of personal development. Anna's family supported her artistic tendencies, and the young woman got the chance to receive the best art education of her time. After settling in Boston, she quickly became a recognized sculptor there. By the time World War I broke out, Anna Coleman Ladd was already a respected name in Boston's art circles. As a socialite, she drew attention both through her artistic creations and her social activities. As a typical upper-class American woman of her time, Anna had focused on traditional portraits and decorative sculptures. Art pieces for fountains and portrait busts were her areas of expertise. However, when the world was dragged into the horror of World War I in 1914, Anna's life and artistic mission would undergo a radical change. World War I was one of the most devastating conflicts humanity had ever seen up to that point. Millions of combatants and civilians lost their lives, while countless soldiers faced injury and disability. The new military technologies that war brought, especially artillery weapons and machine guns, had also changed the nature of battlefield injuries. Perhaps the most heartbreaking were facial injuries. These soldiers not only had to deal with physical loss, but they also lived with the constant psychological stress of wondering how people would react to their changed appearance. These men worried about their homecoming. How would strangers react, but more importantly, how would they be treated by friends and family? Surgery and skin grafting were options for some, but many had suffered injuries that went beyond surgery's ability to repair. These unfortunate soldiers turned to portrait masks. This revolutionary approach had been pioneered by English sculptor Captain Derwent Wood. Wood ran what was called the Tin Noses Shop, a mask-making studio for disfigured British soldiers. In 1917, Anna Coleman Ladd, who was then a sculptor and socialite living in Boston, read about this revolutionary work. Deeply inspired by what her British colleague was doing, Anna felt inspired to take on a similar mission. With America's entry into the war, like many American women, Anna dedicated much of her time to supporting the war effort and began working with the Red Cross. During her work with the Red Cross, Anna found the opportunity to use her artistic talents for a great cause. She made her decision. She would go to Paris and set up a studio there to produce prosthetic masks for soldiers whose faces had been disfigured in battle. This decision wasn't just a personal sacrifice, but also a demonstration of her belief in art's healing power. When Anna Coleman Ladd arrived in Paris, the scene she encountered deeply shook her. Hospitals were filled with young soldiers who had lost part or all of their faces. Most of these men were struggling not just with physical pain, but also with deep concerns about how they would integrate back into society. Anna immediately set up what she called the Studio for Portrait Masks. This studio became a place where her artistic vision met practical needs. Together with a group of dedicated helpers who joined her, Anna began groundbreaking work. The studio's atmosphere was both an art workshop and a healing center. Anna and her team personally cared for each soldier who came, listened to their stories, and most importantly, gave them hope. This wasn't just technical work, it was a deep humanitarian service. The mask-making process that Anna Coleman Ladd developed was complex work that required both technical precision and artistic mastery. The process consisted of several stages from the moment an injured soldier came to the studio until he put on the completed mask. The first step was making a plaster cast of the injured face. This was quite a delicate operation because both the injured tissues needed to remain undamaged and a perfect cast needed to be obtained. Anna constantly talked with the soldiers during this process, listened to their stories, and gave them moral support when needed. Then, using information gathered from her interviews and photographs, Anna would rebuild the missing or damaged features on the plaster cast. This stage required both Anna's artistic skill and psychological understanding. The work would continue until the soldier said, "C'est moi," that's me. In the next stage, a gutta percha, a type of latex mask, was made for the area that needed to be restored. Some masks covered the entire face, but most were partial masks, covering a chin and one cheek, a nose and one eye, depending on what had been damaged. The most delicate part of the technical process came next. The gutta percha mask was kept in a copper bath for 2 days until a thin copper film accumulated on it. This created a lightweight copper mask that could look realistic when painted. Anna painted the mask while it was on the man's face so she could better match his skin tones. The real magic in Anna's work was the artistic details beyond technical perfection. These masks made from galvanized copper sheets weren't just covering missing parts of faces, they were giving back people's self-confidence and identity. Anna painted the masks flesh-colored with hard enamel, but the real magic was in the eyebrows, eyelashes, and mustaches she added using real hair. These details eliminated the artificial appearance of the masks and created an almost lifelike look. If the deformation included the entire mouth, Anna would model the lips to accommodate a cigarette holder. For those who wanted it, a mustache could also be added. These small details allowed soldiers to perform normal activities in their daily lives. Each mask took about a month to produce. This was a testament to the care Anna and her team showed to every detail. Each mask was a completely labor-intensive achievement, and each one was custom designed for the individual. Securing the masks to faces was also an important issue. Most masks were held in place with spectacles, but for soldiers who didn't want to wear glasses, Anna found alternative methods. She developed creative solutions like securing the mask with thin wire or ribbons. The most impressive aspect of Anna's approach was that she considered each soldier's individual needs. She took into account not just physical appearance, but also the person's lifestyle and preferences. This made her work much more than just a technical service. In about a year and a half, Anna and her colleagues produced almost 100 masks. This number is quite impressive considering the labor-intensive nature of each mask. The average cost of the masks was only $18, largely because Anna's services were donated. These masks didn't just change physical appearance. They allowed soldiers to return to their social lives, see their families, and live normal lives. For many soldiers, these masks weren't just prosthetics, but gateways to new lives. Anna's work wasn't just charitable service. She took great care to ensure that these men who had given so much for their countries could return home as physically whole as possible. When the war ended, the Red Cross could no longer finance Anna's studio. So the studio closed and Anna returned to Boston. There, she went back to producing portrait busts and art pieces for fountains. But her work in Paris wasn't forgotten. In 1932, the French government made her a Chevalier of the Legion of Honor in recognition of the work she had done. This was official recognition of her extraordinary contribution to both France and humanity. The modern equivalent of Anna Coleman Ladd's work is the field of anaplastology. Anaplastology is the art and science of restoring absent or malformed anatomy through artificial means. Anna's pioneering work laid the foundation stones for this field that helps many patients today. Modern anaplastology still uses the basic principles that Anna developed: personalization, aesthetic perfection, and psychological healing. While technology has advanced, Anna's humanitarian approach and artistic sensitivity still serve as inspiration for those working in this field. Anna Coleman Ladd's story shows that art doesn't just serve aesthetic purposes, but also has deep healing power. Her work is a perfect example of how technical skill and human compassion can combine to create extraordinary results. During the dark days of World War I, Anna became a beacon of hope. She reshaped not just faces, but lives. Her legacy shows how art can ease pain, give hope, and most importantly, heal people. Anna Coleman Ladd deserves to be remembered in history as both an artist and a healer. Her work represents the triumph of art's power against war's destructive effects and shows future generations what creativity and compassion can achieve when they come together.